not now, by the state and federal government, is a very good thing,
All right, thank you so much. Let's move on. It's a crunchy economic time in Nigeria, and citizens are not the only ones bearing the brunt. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja, has appealed for liquidation of the 42 billion naira electricity debt of the Nigerian Army, following the disconnection of various army barracks and cantonments by power distribution companies. General Lagbaja revealed that the blackouts in barracks has led to decomposition of corpses in army mortuaries, developments that were warranted protest by families of the dead. The army chief made this appeal when he visited the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, in Abuja, where the minister told him that the debt would be restructured but not written off. This is serious.
It's,
I mean, when
Nigerian, you see, I also agree that the debt should not be written off. The armed forces are well funded. You look at the budget of our country, defense gets a sizable portion. And there's no reason why the police, the armed forces generally, should not pay their utility bills, the electricity bills and all that. There's always been this belief that, they do not have the guts to come, and they will never have the guts to come and disconnect electricity. So, and we've seen staff of the old NEPA brutalized by police, by soldiers, when they dared to go and disconnect electricity supply to military formations, police formations. They must learn to pay. It has to be their budget. You set aside money for payment of electricity that the army uses, whether in the army hospitals or even in their barracks. No, you have to pay. You have to pay. But for so long, we've allowed a lot of nasty things to go on in our country. Look at the president having to order that what the villa was owing the service provider should be paid. Why did we have to owe that much? The seat of power of all places. And if they plunge you into darkness, you say they are bad people. Why would you owe them? If you owe them, then you are jeopardizing the future of the service provider, because they're in business to make profit, to survive. The distribution companies are being owed a lot of money. You've got to pity them. Yes, we are not happy, the quality of service is not good enough and all that. But even for services provided, you have to pay. You have to pay, for God's sake. You can't say because you are wearing uniform, then your uniform will threaten them, they cannot come and disconnect. But they can disconnect from source. They may not physically be able to disconnect at your barracks, but from their facility, they can disconnect you. They can ensure that, now is complaining that they don't have. It's because they disconnect. I'm sure they didn't disconnect it at the various barracks. If you don't supply them electricity, they won't get it.
And they've been in total darkness since January.
I remember in those days now when I was a tabloid editor and they would not give us electricity. My boss would say, we need to go to the nearest NEPA, this thing, to go and tell them, because we need this line now to produce. Maybe we are working overnight. But you tell them, they will say, this problem emanated from Egbe, the thermal plant. So if Egbe is the source of lack of supply of electricity, there is nothing that the people around here can do. You have to go to Egbe to go and complain. So the point I'm making is that from their offices, all it takes is just press a button. They won't have access to electricity. There's no need begging that they should write it off because somebody wrote it off wrote it off in the past. You don't have to constantly wait for them to write. Pay your debt. Pay your debt. Is it not the same armed forces that are building, they are building barracks here and there? They are building, what is it called, officers' messes and all that. Then your electricity bill you can't pay. You must make provision for it. That is the point that I'm making. Help these businesses to survive. You abuse them about the quality of service and all that. But in our country, we are guilty of energy theft. A lot of us are guilty of not even paying at all. We bypass the meter. You see people climb, they go and bypass the meter. Energy theft is one of the problems that the discos are grappling with. And the discos are the face of the entire value chain, because they are the ones who interface directly with you and I. Gencos don't know you, they don't ask you for money. It is the discos who help everybody to collect money. So we need to pay. Mr. Chief of Army Staff, you have to arrange to pay. They can help you, they can stagger the payment. Well, I do not also agree that they should write it off.
Adebayo, 42 billion naira.
Yeah, I think the military is a very strategic asset. It's a strategic institution. It's not an institution that have 24-hour power supply, because of the strategic role it plays in terms of the nation's security. Imagine if insurgents are coming to attack a particular barrack and there's no light, CCTV down, computers down. Yeah, so it's not just about the mortuary alone. It's about the security institution itself, that is an essential institution that should not be devoid of electricity. We can still stay without electricity, but the military, that should not happen. And I think, just like Babajide has said, it's not the fault of those who supply them electricity. About 83 MDAs are owing some 47 billion naira, to Abuja Electricity Distribution Company. How do you want them to cope? To pay salaries and other overhead costs? Then security institutions are owing 12 billion. Why? Why should that happen? Because it's a mark of lawlessness that you are using a particular, and then if somebody does this in Agimule, or they will say it's an irresponsible person, go and arrest him. So our military institutions, and I think it's not a new thing. I believe this is accumulated debt over years.
Over the years.
Because the Chief of Army Staff said they pay every month, but the thing goes to service debt. So I think that, I believe they can restructure, there should be restructured debt payment. But if you write off, liquidate the debt, what's the guarantee that they will not happen again? And how would they deal with the other things that they need to do? How would they cope? They are in business to make profit. It's not a communist country where things are just run, So I think they need to find a way. Look at what the presidency did, over 300 million. You ordered them to go and pay. But I think in payment, there should be also diligent investigation. If you look at these funds, there may be some kind of manipulation. It may not be up to this particular amount. So before paying, I think there should be investigation about what is actually the actual amount that the security institutions are owing, the service providers. But I think on the long-term plan, military institutions should also look for independent way of generating electricity. That's what some other countries are doing, using solar, renewable energy, because of the strategic role they play, in the nation's security. And I believe the engineering department in the Army should be looking towards this, so that they can provide electricity, supply to the limits without depending on.
All right. So I want us to also talk about something the minister said about fundamental issues in the power sector value chain. He said these issues could be traced back to the last 50 years, and the government that is barely 8 months old cannot proffer a solution at this moment.
That is the debts were now accumulated in just 8 months of Tinubu's regime, but they've been refusing to pay for years. I said earlier.
Said 86 ministries, agencies, and departments of government.
Yes, the government, because they believe that nothing will happen if they don't pay. That is the thing. And if we strictly want to make the power sector viable, these sort of things will not encourage people to come into the business. Today, we have issues with gas supply to power plants. Not only is the source of gas supply to our power plants too far, but we have a situation in which the power plants, when they need gas, it's not readily available because gas pricing in our country is done in dollars. I don't even understand why we should have that situation. And because of the issues of payment, gas companies being owed and all that, they prefer to produce gas for export. It's the same thing that we have even with liquefied petroleum gas. Now, government is saying, okay, we are going to ban sale of cooking gas for export. I mean, production of cooking gas for export. They are going to ban it. So whatever they produce will be for local production because they've been begging the IOCs, the international oil companies, to please set aside a good chunk of what they produce for the local market so that prices can come down. But they are not listening. They prefer, because the guarantees that they will get in terms of payment when they are dealing with foreign clients is greater than what they get if they are dealing with local consumers here. So they prefer to simply sell. And when you do that, you won't have enough for our people here. And when you don't have enough, you don't produce enough for our people here, then price will go up. So it's the same situation that we find. The energy sector, they've been talking about appropriate pricing and all that. Yes, a lot of people will not want to come into the sector if certain things are not dealt with. So why would you owe these electricity companies this much? Why? The indiscipline that allowed this debt to balloon to the point that we are seeing. I mean, it puts me to shame even as a Nigerian.
Embarrassing. Embarrassing. All right, gentlemen, we have another caller. Good afternoon to you. Good afternoon. Are you there?
I just want to quick. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead.
Yeah. I just want to make a quick contribution. You see, those accumulation of debt is the fault of the civil servant, because I know those bills have been complied, have been in there for years, and there are some people in charge of doing that job because they are civil servants. They don't care. So when the civil servants are not doing their job, that's part of the reason why Nigeria is in the mess we have today. So when they are not doing their job, they need to be fired.
All right. Thank you so much.
That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Thank you for your contribution. All right, gentlemen, let's quickly move on to another